Summary of The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Prince Mishkin is on a train that is coming into the Russian city of St. Petersburg. He is sitting next to Rogozin, a young man with a malicious smile, and Lebedev, a silly clerk. Mishkin has been getting care in Switzerland for his epilepsy for almost 5 years, but he has no money. On the other hand, Rogozin just got a huge fortune. Rogozin has been trying to get Nastasia Filipovna to like him, and he is going to see her that night. Mishkin goes to the home of Mrs. Lizaveta Prokofyevna Epanchin, a distant cousin. Lizaveta and her husband, General Epanchin, are both rich and well-liked. They have 3 girls in their early 20s who are not married yet. Their names are Alexandra, Adelaida, and Aglaya. General Epanchin's office is where Mishkin goes to talk to him. At first, Epanchin doesn't trust Mishkin, but he grows to like him and gives him a job, some money, and a place to stay with Ganya, who is one of his friends. Ganya may be about to marry Nastasia. Totsky, Nastasia's rich guardian who sexually abused her as a youth, has offered a huge sum for her dowry. Ganya seems to have some doubts about getting married. After this, Mishkin talks to the 4 Epanchin women and makes them fall in love with him. Ganya asks Mishkin to help him tell Aglaya one last time how much he loves her, but Aglaya says no in a cold way. Mishkin goes to Ganya's family's apartment and meets Ganya's father, General Evoljin, mother, Nina, brother, Kolya, and sister, Varya. One other person lives there, too. His name is Ferdishchenko, and he is not a nice guy. Titsin, who likes Varya, is also there. Ganya and Nastasia might get married, but Nina and Varya don't want that to happen because Ganya is clearly only doing it for money. At that very moment, Nastasia shows up. She tries to be friends with the Evoljins, but she ends up embarrassing General Evoljin by telling him that a story he told about himself was actually taken from a recent newspaper piece. A big, noisy crowd comes in, and Rogozin is one of them. He offers Nastasia 100,000 rubles for her hand in marriage. Later that same day, after trying and failing to get the drunk and lost General Evoljin to take him to Nastasia's birthday party, Mishkin invites himself. At the party, Nastasia wants everyone to play a game in which they each say the worst thing they've ever done. But none of the stories are really shocking, and some of them even brag about good things they did. Nastasia says right away that she's bored. Rogozin comes in and gives Nastasia the 100,000 rubles he said he would give her. Nastasia says that she has a lot of partners right now, but that no one will want her once she leaves the luxury life that Totsky gives her. Ferdishchenko suggests that Mishkin marry Nastasia, and Mishkin says he would. He also says that he is going to receive 1.5 million rubles, and he shyly agrees to do so. Everyone at the party is happy because Mishkin is about to get rich and because he is going to marry Nastasia. But Nastasia realizes quickly that she could still choose Rogozin. She throws the 100,000 rubles into the fire, tells Ganya to get them, and then leaves. Mishkin doesn't get his whole fortune, he only gets a small part of it. Rogozin keeps getting dumped by Nastasia before she agrees to marry him again. The Epanchins leave for their dacha in Pavlovsk at the beginning of June. Back in St. Petersburg, Mishkin goes to Rogozin's very dark house and sees Rogozin's copy of Holbein's picture The Dead Christ. Mishkin is terrified by it and says that it could make a man stop believing in God. When Mishkin leaves the house, he can tell that Rogozin is watching him. As his confusion gets worse, he runs into Rogozin on the stairs of his hotel. Rogozin tries to stab him, but Mishkin has a seizure at this point, so Rogozin runs away. During the fit, Mishkin falls down the stairs and hurts his head. He is taken to a doctor and is okay after the fall. Lebedev takes Mishkin to his dacha to help him get better. The Epanchin women come to see Mishkin because they are very worried about his health. Kolya notices that Aglaya won't stop talking about the poor knight, a figure from Cervantes's Don Quixote and a recent poem by Pushkin, whose desire for love without conditions seems to represent Mishkin. During the Epanchin's visit, 4 young men, Burdovsky, Keller, Ippolit, and Doktorenko, break into Lebedev's dacha. They say that Burdovsky is the illegal son of Mishkin's late patron, Pavlishev, and that Burdovsky's fortune has been stolen by Mishkin. Mishkin calmly and kindly shows that they are lying, but he still gives them money. Burdovsky refuses out of shame. Mrs. Epanchin is getting more and more afraid that Aglaya and Mishkin will get married, even though Aglaya still insults Mishkin by calling him a little freak and an idiot. At a party at the Epanchin's house, Yevgeny, a young family friend, talks about whether or not there could ever be a truly Russian form of democracy. Then, Mishkin talks about crooks. Aglaya says she will never marry Mishkin because he is a ridiculous man, and Mrs. Epanchin suggests they all go to the Vauxhall to hear some music before a fight breaks out. At the Vauxhall, Nastasia tells Yevgeny in a cheerful way that his uncle has killed himself because he was involved in a scam about stolen government funds. When an officer walks by and says that Nastasia should be beaten, Nastasia grabs a whip and hits the officer. Mishkin gets involved and tries to stand up for Nastasia. Rogozin tells Mishkin that Nastasia wants him to get married to Aglaya so that they can both be happy. This makes Mishkin feel sick. But then he remembers it's his birthday, which makes him feel happy for no reason. He suggests that they drink champagne at Lebedev's dacha. There, so many people are waiting to see Mishkin that a surprise party has started on the spot. Ippolit, who is dying of tuberculosis, brings everyone together at the party and pulls a paper out of his bag to read. It is called A Necessary Explanation, and it is a speech about his life, his illness, and what he thinks about nihilism. The paper is powerful and very long. The people in the room, who didn't want to hear it to begin with, get bored quickly. When the reading is done, Ippolit says he's going to kill himself, but no one believes him. He tries, but it turns out that the gun didn't have a cap on it. To his shame, he is completely unhurt. Mishkin meets Aglaya in the park early the next morning because she asked him to. She says that she doesn't like her life and asks Mishkin to help her leave. Then she tells him that Nastasia has been writing letters to her. On the same day, Lebedev learns that his wallet has been stolen. He knows that Ferdishchenko and his close friend General Ivoljin, who just got out of debtor's prison, are the most likely culprits. Even though Mishkin thinks that Ferdishchenko is the real thief, he decides to find Ferdishchenko in St. Petersburg. Later, Aglaya shows Mishkin the letters that Nastasia wrote to her. In them, Nastasia says that she loves Aglaya but hopes that she and Mishkin will get married. At the same time, word gets around that Mishkin and Aglaya are getting married, but this is not official and may not even be happening. Lebedev comes back from St. Petersburg and at first spends all of his time with Ivoljin. After a fight, though, the two stop talking to each other. Ivoljin tells Mishkin in private that he doesn't like how Lebedev treated him badly and makes up a story about meeting Napoleon when he was a child that is obviously not true. Ivoljin has a stroke not long after. Mrs. Epanchin is so upset that Mishkin and Aglaya might get married that she is going crazy. Aglaya treats Mishkin more and more rudely, and she finally tells him she will never marry him. This has a strangely good effect on Mishkin and makes him happy. The Epanchins plan a party for their high society friends where they hope to meet Mishkin. Aglaya tells Mishkin, in a mocking way, that he should break Mrs. Epanchin's favorite, very expensive Chinese vase at the party. At the start of the party, Mishkin is quiet and stays far away from the vase. But when one of the guests says that Pavlishev became a Catholic, Mishkin goes on a rant about how the Catholic Church is unchristian and worse than atheism. He gets so angry that he doesn't notice the vase and walks toward it, knocking it over. He thinks Mrs. Epanchin will be very sad, but she laughs it off and says it doesn't matter. Not long after that, Nastasia, Aglaya, Mishkin, and Rogozin all meet at the dacha of Nastasia's friend Daria. Aglaya curses Nastasia for getting in her way, and Nastasia tells her that she could take Mishkin if she wanted to. Aglaya runs away, but Nastasia passes out in Mishkin's arms before he can go after her. Before he knows it, Aglaya tells him he can't talk to her and Nastasia asks him to marry her again. Many of the rumors about what Mishkin did to Aglaya are not true, and even his closest friends don't like what he did. Mishkin tells Yevgeny that he loves both Aglaya and Nastasia and that he never meant to choose Nastasia over Aglaya. The night before the wedding, Nastasia says it makes her sick to think that she will ruin Mishkin's childhood. The next day, when the ritual starts, Nastasia sees Rogozin in the crowd and runs to him, telling him to take her away. Mishkin isn't too upset when Nastasia and Rogozin ditch him at the altar, but he goes to St. Petersburg right away to look for them. After searching the whole city, he finds Rogozin, who takes him to his dark house. Rogozin shows Mishkin the dead body of Nastasia and says that he killed her with a knife. The two talk for a while, and then each of them starts to lose their minds. Rogozin is taken into custody by the police, and he is given a term of 15 years of hard labor in Siberia. In the meantime, Yevgeny pays for Mishkin to go back to the Swiss Institute for more treatment. Aglaya gets married to a man who says he is a fled Polish count but is not. She becomes a Catholic and moves away from her family.
About the author. Fyodor Dostoevsky was born in Russia into a wealthy family. His dad was a doctor. As a kid, Dostoevsky was sick a lot, and this gave him an early interest in books. When he was a youngster, his mother died of cancer, and 2 years later, his father died. Around this time, Dostoevsky started having seizures, just like the main character in The Idiot, Prince Mishkin. Not long after that, he started gaming, which was a bad habit that caused him trouble for the rest of his life. Poor Folk, Dostoevsky's first book, came out in 1846. During this time, Dostoevsky became interested in socialism, but he had problems with other leftists because he was a very religious member of the Russian Orthodox Church. He joined the Petrushevsky Circle, a group of reformers who were reported to the government. Dostoevsky and the other members were sentenced to death by firing squad, but right before they were about to be shot, the sentence was changed to hard labor in Siberia. His health got worse in the jail camp there. After he got out of jail, in 1857, he married his first wife, Maria. Their love was strong, but their marriage was hard. In 1864, Dostoevsky's first wife, Maria, died. In 1867, he married his second wife, Anna. His gambling addiction had put him in a lot of trouble. He and Anna had 4 kids, but 2 of them died when they were young. Dostoevsky's health got worse in the 1870s, and he died in 1881.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.